Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Do you hear me? It's okay? Okay, yeah. So thank you very much for inviting me to this special occasion. And I'm very happy to be back here again in Riyadh. And I'm very happy that I'm now already doing several projects in Saudi Arabia. So yeah, I'm very excited to see how passionate you are for the future. And today, yeah, I'm mainly talking about the master plan of EXPO. But first of all, I like to quickly showing my, introducing my project. Yeah, crazy hundreds of balcony housing in France, in Montpellier, facing to the Mediterranean Sea, a beautiful occasion. And yeah, beautiful music hall in the middle of the forest, in the park in Budapest, in Hungary, which is like the beautiful merging between nature, park, and the architecture. And wonderful, like a circle-shaped pavilion in China, in Haikou city, which is like a mountain view. So it's like a beautiful integration of landscape and the architecture. And one huge museum project happening in China, in Shenzhen, which has 100,000 square meter project, which has a 50-meter atrium inside, and then the stacked boxes creating the vertical garden, vertical city, together with the architecture. And now I like to talk about the expo itself. So this is like happening in 2025 from April 13. And the location is man-made island in the Osaka Bay. The far behind is the Osaka downtown. So yeah, it is like a more like in the middle of the ocean. And our master plan is like this. It is like the huge one circular ring. And the concept of this master plan is quite like a strong message to this current global situation. What is the meaning of the expo? Of course, the meaning of the expo is getting more and more important, I think, globally in this era of the beginning of 21st century, because the whole world is now respecting, everybody's talking about the diversity, respecting such a diversity. But on the other hand, the world is starting to be divided. That is very, very sad and a pity. So I like to create the diversity and the unity, not the divided, but the more unity and connected and interacting to each other. So that must be the really, really wonderful fundamental meaning of the expo, because so many countries in this Osaka ones, 161 countries are gathering here. So many people, so much diversities are gathering here and staying here for 6 months, 180 days. That must be really, really amazing occasions for many people to meet to each other, staying to each other, to get to be a friend, and then starts to talk about our better future. So that must be really precious occasions for all of us to be in one place, to talk about our better future. And then this kind of the wonderful concept, how we can create strong message for the future and a strong message globally. And I like to choose very simple shape, one pure circle, which is for any kind of the cultural background, for any generations. You will understand here, in this circle, the world is now gathering. All the national pavilions are within this circle, so physically everything is well linked together. And in here you will experience, you will feel such a diversities of different world, different cultures are gathering here in one place. And then you will see the unity of the diversity. And then, of course, if you are here, visiting here, people will realize it. But even for the people who couldn't come to Osaka, to Japan, but by those kind of the render images or the aerial photos, they could recognize, even from the opposite side of the world, kids, younger people, they will recognize, wow, now the whole world is gathering here in this one place to think about our better future together. That will be the hope for the younger generation. That will be the hope for our future. So that is really like a strong message. And of course, functionally, because I'm an architect, and this is almost like the master plan of the city, so functionally it is also well considered. This circular shape is the main circulation path for the visitors, and this is the big ring. It's like a big roof, which will protect people from the rainfall and the sunlight. So this is like a simple, easy circulation path protecting people from the strong sunlight and rain. So that kind of the basics function was the starting point. And then the many pavilions are facing to these rings, and then easy circulations, and then clear navigations, and so on. And now we are planning to make this huge ring by wooden construction. Huge wooden construction, because the wood must be very, very sustainable. If you plant the trees, then which is growing up, and then which is getting a lot of carbon dioxide within it. And then after almost 30 years, we'll cut trees to get the construction materials. But right after cutting the trees, we replant the trees so that the circulation of the nature flow is, and the forest is happening. So in future, almost automatically, by the power of the nature, we will achieve the construction materials. And then the wood is very lightweight and then easy to make the cut and then the manufacturing. So during the construction process, also less carbon dioxide amount. So that is why almost all the world, European countries, United States, Canada, Australia, Asia, in Singapore, and African country, and probably here in Middle East areas, the wooden construction, large-scale wooden construction, is getting more and more developed to create the skyscrapers by wooden constructions, and so on. So that's the big reason. But on the other hand, in Japan, for those kind of the large-scale wooden construction, we are a bit far behind from the global standard. That's so pity, because Japan has long history of the wooden construction from more than 1,000 years ago. That is really amazing history and the traditions. So I like to combine the tradition and the future together to update the traditional way of the wooden construction from Japan, and then reinforcing by the metal materials, combining with the latest technology to create the huge scale wooden construction. Actually, the size is huge. Diameter-wise, it's a 700-meter diameter, and one around is 2 kilometers. So it's like a huge construction ring. And the width of the ring is 30 meter wide, and the height is, taller part is 20 meter, and then the lower part is a 12 meter. And now we are starting construction, of course, because the EXPO itself will happen in April next year. This is the photo of almost last year, 1 year ago. Now, construction is going well. And as you can see, the experience of this wooden construction space is really amazing. As you can see, simplicity, the dynamism, and then the sequences of this circular shape, the ring. I really hope you to experience this. This is something really, yeah, you can see how. And in the evening, It's light up in a really beautiful way. And this part will be the one of the welcoming gate for the visitors. Some part is like a double roof, and the tallest part is a 22-meter now, and it's a huge, huge construction. And one more concept will be this location is man-made island, which means it's really, really flat land. And we have a huge, beautiful sky. And at the beginning of the design phase, I went there, and then I was so fascinated by the sky itself. And then I thought, even what kind of a architectural or artificial construction we make in the future, but it couldn't compete against this beautiful sky. Then I decided to make this sky as a symbol of this EXPO experience, which means the sky. This photo I took on that day to look up the sky. It's a beautiful blue sky and a cloud. And then I made the edge of the ring a little bit lifted up. So if you go on top of the ring, then you will see the sky is cut out by the edge of the ring. And then you will recognize it's a one sky, which is, of course, the sky is everywhere. You will see it. But in here, sky is the main part. And you will recognize the sky as one of the, like another earth are floating above you. And then so many people, thousands and hundreds and thousands of people together will look up the sky. So this is another representation and experience, artistic experience, to show how the entire world, diversities, could have the unity together, to sharing one sky as a beautiful symbol of the ecosystem and the nature. This is the view of the top of the roof of the ring, and it has many greens and flowers. And then you will see the edge of the roof is lifted up so that the sky will be cut out as like a pure, like a circular shape of the surface. And now the construction is going on, so you will recognize how dynamic the entire construction, and then the perspective is ongoing. And this is the last images. We had an expo in Osaka, 1970, almost like 55 years ago. And left one was the photo of that 1970 expo. The master plan was made by Kenzo Tange, the legendary Japanese architect. And then he made a huge roof, 100-meter wide and then a few hundred meters long. It's a huge roof, using the space frame, so the technology, industrial, like a future was there. But if you get closer, you will recognize some strange sculpture made by Taro Okamoto, the Japanese, also legendary sculpture artist. If you get closer, it was like that. There was a sky, circular sky was there, but it was a small. And then the sculpture was isolatedly looking up the sky. And this was the message. Of course, at that time, in 70s, industrializations and then economics growth was there. But this sculpture and the sky was talking about the life and the future and the nature and the sustainability from that era. So now we try to receive this message of nature, unity, the sky, and the life from past expo and bringing it to here again in Osaka, make it more growing and growing to be shared by all of the world. So many people, different people, hundreds and thousands of the people are gathering here to see the sky, to understand the diversity and the unity for the future. So that will be the message. And then this is the photo I took from the airplane recently. You'll recognize the ring. in the island, but you recognize the areas from above, from airplane, areas is really, really small in a sense. And then it is amazing that so many countries, so many people from all over the world are gathering in this place, in such a tiny place, gather together, to meet together, to think about our future. That must be really, really impressive moment. So I hope you to come to Japan, Osaka, to see it. And also, 2030, you will have an expo. That must be really amazing occasions. So we will share the strong message of the expo together to create our future. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Much. Please stay with us because I would really like to open it up to some Q&A. But to begin that, I love this idea of diversity but unity, and the representation of being protected by that ring from the elements, but also enhancing the exposure to nature as well. Can you maybe speak a little bit more to why that's so important to you personally? I think everyone would, it's so incredible from that architectural perspective to understand the design, but for you from a personal perspective, why is that so significant?
Well, personally, of course, it is for more like a global scale, so it's huge scale, but at the same time, each of us has our own personality, uniqueness, so each of us has the diversities in a sense. And then it's amazing to, especially for my kids, for example, I hope them to see how the whole world, it's so amazing, so different, and so open for the possibilities of the future. So that is like the starting point for me to think about how we can present these wonderful expo experiences to the younger generation and the kids, especially for my kids.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I mentioned earlier that I live in Dubai, and obviously we recently had the Expo, and that opportunity for me to take my children to experience the architectural design, not just of Expo, but obviously all of the venues. Is that something that will have a lasting impact in the country? Are you hoping that all of those countries will leave their mark in Japan? And what will that then mean for the longevity of that message of diversity and unity?
I think Expo, every 5 years we have an Expo. And that will show the future visions. And for example, 1970, the Expo Osaka, it was the huge impact for the 50 years after that expo until now. Kids who visited that expo in Osaka 70s, they got a lot of inspirations, and then they are like a part of the members who developed the Japanese society from that on to until now. And then some of them are leading roles in the Japanese society. So Expo only 6 months, but the experiences within the 6 months will create the 50 years or 100 years futures. The impact is so huge. Then every places, Osaka, the Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, or in the future, we will link to each other to pass the visions from Osaka to Riyadh and from Riyadh to somewhere else. Yeah. So we can continue those kind of exploring the visions for the future. That must be great.
Exactly. And I think that opportunity to learn from one another and to grow and to develop even more, it really is such a profound and unique opportunity. And I think what we've sort of discussed through all the sessions today is the unique ability that these major projects have. And I think in that design phase and innovation, sometimes we don't always think of the impact that it has on future generations in that time. So, I'm interested now to hear if there's anyone from the audience who might have any questions. We do have a few more minutes. You don't want to miss this opportunity to speak to Sou about his incredible designs. Obviously, we're talking about the expo in Japan, but you do have things that you're working on here and all around the world. Does anyone in the audience have any questions? Yes, we do have it. Do we have a a mic?
Thank you, Sue, for a very inspiring discussion. So, as the mastermind behind
We
the
just
master
can't.
plan,
Yes.
as the mastermind behind the master plan for Japan 2025, what would you say, or what would you like to see happen for, or what would you say to the mastermind behind the master plan for the Saudi Expo in 2030? What type of legacy would you like to leave that they might inherit and get inspired by?
Thank you very much. Yeah, I understand the expo in Riyadh also, yeah, really enhancing the better life and the sustainability and those kind of things. And also, expo itself has, on the bottom line itself, has this kind of the wonderful visions of diversity and unity now in the beginning of the 21st century. And then through the sessions you have been moderating, I felt, especially for the sports field, those kind of the diversity and unity is getting more and more important and enhanced and empowered, I felt. So yeah, I can say we can be together, and then we do the expo in Osaka, and then 5 years later in Riyadh. I'm really looking forward to see how kind of this, what kind of synergy and what kind of communications and what kind of interactions we can make together.
Absolutely. It is about those synergies and the opportunity to use that as a way to communicate and to continue developing forward. Do we have any more questions from the audience to Sue? No? Well, I have a couple more, if everyone will entertain that. Again, the theme around, a lot of the discussions today, that legacy, that social impact, something like Expo, we know is an opportunity, to bring everything from a country to showcase to the rest of the world. Yeah. In Japan, is this something that will live on a little bit longer than Expo? I know that, for example, in previous Expo locations, things have changed. They've had to sort of change the actual building infrastructure around some of the other countries' pavilions and things like that. Are you hoping that those pavilions remain, or will they be resourced and used for other things beyond Expo?
Thank you very much. So first of all, this huge ring is now we are doing the discussion about how we can keep it. On the other hand, how we can reuse it on site, how we can keep and reuse it for the future development, not just demolishing everything. That is very important point. And then for all the pavilions and all the buildings, I hope each country are thinking about what kind of reusing programs. And then some of them already announced that, for example, Swiss pavilion is they made it really lightweight. So it is very easy to bring it back or bring it to somewhere else. And some other pavilions also thinking about relocated within Japan already. Okay. So those kind of no demolishing, no
just
waste.
Repurposing, reusing.
Yeah, that must be very, very important, I think.
So interesting then, is there a set criteria that countries need to adhere to in the specific regards to sustainability that they have to be met, or it's something that the countries can sort of work within a few different parameters?
Yeah, at the very beginning of the master planning and then announcing to the guideline to each different countries, we didn't show the specific numbers, but we asked them to think about the new way of construction, which is really easy to be transported, or which is could be really easy for the reusing. And then sustainability thinking should be the priority. So that was the documents we sent we asked them to think about it as a best priority.
Amazing.
So for the Riyadh Expo, I imagine you are also thinking about that kind of things. And then absolutely. Yeah, step by step, but the whole world gets more and more interested in those kind of the fundamental importance of the sustainability. And in the future, the Expo will be perfectly 100% reusing, recycling, everything.
Yes, and that's the goal, which is fantastic. And I think, I've sort of said this point a few times, is that opportunity to continue to learn, and hopefully when those synergies are created and maintained, you have the opportunity for Riyadh to be able to learn from your expertise and to be able to then develop something here that is an extension of what is taking place in Japan. And I think that is then full credit to the design, the innovation, the ideas around making this something that has that incredible legacy, not just for Japan, but for the rest of the world. So thank you so much. It has
Thank you
been
very
incredible
much.
to speak with you
Wonderful.
this afternoon. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.